Welcome to the 2017-2018 NBA preview. My name is Josh, your enviers. We're covering the 19th ranked team today, the Detroit Pistons. Like usual, huge inspiration in Grantland. This series isn't based off of who's going to win a championship. This is solely based off of win-loss record. And last season, the Detroit Pistons win-loss record was 37 wins and 45 losses. This season, I see them being around the same place as they were last season, possibly even making it to the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference, considering the 8th seed is up for grabs. I feel like the 7th seed is up for grabs as well. And this Pistons team has a chance to be in the playoffs once again, but I just don't feel like putting them in a playoff spot, considering I thought super highly of them last year. And on paper, they looked amazing. And paper teams ruined the NBA preview last season for me. I mean, I thought the Pistons were an amazing paper team. That's why I put them so high. The Pacers, an amazing paper team. Why I put them so high. This season, they definitely have a shot of making the playoffs as a lower seed. I could easily see this Pistons team winning anywhere from 37 to 40 wins. But to be safe, let's say 38 wins. Reggie Jackson was coming back from an injury last season. And this team just didn't click as well as it did 2 years ago. They got rid of a few players that played a key factor in that playoff push. So let's take a look at these offseason moves that the Detroit Pistons did to improve from last year to try to make it back into playoffs this year.
So here's what they were able to get in the offseason. The big piece they got was Avery Bradley via trade from the Boston Celtics. They were also able to sign Langston Galloway and Anthony Tolliver. I don't really get the Langston Galloway signing. I mean, I guess it's insurance just in case Reggie Jackson goes down with injury. They have a solid 3-guard rotation of okay point guards. It's weird, especially because they signed him to a multi-year deal. And although Avery Bradley is a great defender, I feel like they lost a little bit more than they gained in the offseason at least. They lost Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Marcus Morris, who was Mr. Minutes with this Pistons team. I had him on fantasy for 2 years in a row. This man just got all the minutes from this Pistons team. And maybe that's why it wasn't really working. Who knows? And also Aaron Baines as well, going to the Celtics. Those are just some of the notable people they acquired and lost in the offseason, along with being able to draft Luke Kennard with that 12th pick in this year's draft. This is a perfect pick for the Pistons. The Pistons need shooting. Kennard can definitely bring that in his first year. He also knows every word to the Frozen movie. I feel like I just had to mention that because ESPN desperately wanted to mention that as well. I don't know if this was some kind of joke, but it is what it is, and he's already a Detroit Piston bad boy for sure. One thing will be interesting for sure moving forward is drafting Luke Kennard instead of Donovan Mitchell. If you look at Donovan Mitchell's play in Summer League, he looked like a stud. A player that could definitely fill their role for the Pistons team. Kind of similar to the situation with Stanley Johnson and Justice Winslow a few years ago. They drafted Stanley Johnson above Justice Winslow when Justice Winslow, in my opinion, was projected to be a top 5 player at one point, especially after winning the national championship. So definitely keep an eye on those two. Moving on to the rotation, we have Drummond, Lohr, Tobias Harris, Bradley, and Jackson. That's a solid starting 5 in the Eastern Conference. Could definitely give some teams some trouble. Then some key rotation guys. We have Boban finally becoming the backup center, it looks like. Henry Ellenson, Stanley Johnson, Luke Kennard, and Ish Smith. Out of all the players on the bench, Stanley Johnson definitely needs a big year with this Detroit Pistons team. Because I remember in 2014, I think he was drafted, and that's the year I started doing these NBA preview series. At the time, there was a lot of Detroit Pistons fans saying, don't overlook Stanley Johnson. He's going to be Rookie of the Year. He's going to step up for this Pistons team. And unfortunately, he got benched just because of the fact that they had Tobias Harris, Marcus Morris. There probably wasn't enough PT. But now Marcus Morris is gone and their bench is looking kind of stiff compared to their starting 5. So it'll be interesting to see. I believe in his 3rd year if he takes the next step to being that 6th man for this Pistons team, or possibly even getting a starting job this season. If Justice Winslow could be a starter on a team already, why can't Stanley Johnson?
So overall, I like this rotation for the Detroit Pistons. I like Avery Bradley's defense. I like Andre Drummond as a center. I touched upon it a little bit in the beginning, but my question is for this Detroit Pistons team is, was it Reggie Jackson's health that made them play to a lower level than they did a few years ago? Or was it something else?
Last year, Reggie Jackson and Andre Drummond on the floor together was kind of a disaster. Detroit was outscored around 8 points per 100 possessions while both were on the floor, and outscored their opponents when they were both on the bench by around 8 points as well. That's kind of crazy. I mean, Reggie Jackson only played 52 games last season. Because of it, his stats definitely showed a decrease. So if injury was really the reason why, and recovering from that injury was the reason why this Pistons team didn't do as hot as they probably should have, well, if he's healthy this year, that means they should, on paper, make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. They could definitely sneak in as an 8 to 7 seed. I say that's wide open. And I know I have them ranked 19th, but the rest of these episodes until we get into playoffs, this is the last Eastern Conference team until we get to playoffs. So I have them right there on the edge. They could definitely break through. And I know there was a lot of trade rumors surrounding Reggie Jackson last season, but honestly, what point guard would you trade Reggie Jackson for? I guess that's another good question. If you look at all the 29 other teams, what team has an extra point guard they could just give up and automatically replace Reggie Jackson with for this Pistons team? It's kind of a hard answer. Let me know in the comment section below, if Reggie Jackson were to be traded from this Pistons team, what point guard would best fit for this team moving forward?
So that said, if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like on it. It really helps my channel grow.
Before you go, check out some of these other videos on screen right now. I'm pretty sure you'll like them if you're liking this video. The playlist for the NBA preview is in the description if you want to binge watch this series, along with my Twitter @Enviers. Follow me there if you want to chat it up about the NBA preview or anything else. Keep sharing the series around. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.